on, City of Cincinnati? It is your girl, Miss KiKi. You know, the one that tells you who you need to know and all the fabulous places that you need to go right here in the City of Cincinnati and beyond. But guess who I got here today? None other than the diva, the one with 50 million daggone blame jobs right here in the Cincinnati, Miss Krystal Kendricks. Y'all put your hands together. Yay! Oh my goodness. See, I told you didn't know. I told you didn't know you were going to get into. Yes. Well, for those that may or may not know, Krystal Kendricks is the owner and CEO of Voice of Your Customer, and as well as the voice of Black Cincinnati. She is on fire, I promise. She is chapter president of every organization that is here in the City of Cincinnati. But today we're going to get down and dirty and get to really know who this divalicious is. What up, Krystal?
Girl, hello, how are you? I'm having a good time so far.
Awesome sauce, well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for kicking it with KiKi.
Listen, I've been trying to kick it with KiKi for a while. This is the place to be out here. So when I received the call, I was like, oh, I've chosen. It's my turn. I've finally been chosen. I have arrived.
No,
to kick it with
I feel that you have arrived. That I have arrived with this woman. I will say that she has really been a blessing to me, just to see her work in the Black community, just her whole aura and being. She is just the godsend to me. And I think this is our first time really kicking it and just chilling. Most of the time it's like, hi, bye. Okay, I'll give you a call, girl. She always got to pencil me in.
No. Don't even try.
But anyway, so let's talk about the voice of the customer. Tell us what that really is and what it really means to the City of Cincinnati, because I think, and I may be wrong, you may be the second or only Black-owned marketing firm here in the Cincinnati area. Am I right or wrong?
So there are several different marketing firms, but a lot of, but marketing is a broad scope.
Okay.
And so we do market research. And there are not very many African American market research firms.
Okay.
Now, there are African American branding firms, there are African American photography and video firms, there are African American advertising firms, but we do a lot of work in research.
Okay, now what does that mean for the average Joe?
The average Joe.
The average Joe.
We are the voice of the customer,
okay.
And so we provide to our clients information based on the feedback and observations of their clients. Gotcha. So the voice of your customer focuses in 3 areas. The first is research, and that means we do secondary research, we do online research, data analysis, reports, that kind of research.
Okay.
And then we also do focus groups. So we actually gather people, and people in our community have been to a lot of our focus groups. So several times a week we will host a focus group where we bring people in and ask a question or ask a series of questions about a specific topic so we can learn their perceptions, thoughts, beliefs.
Gotcha. So that's how come I never got invited, because I probably don't fit the profile.
Well, different profiles,
I'm just
different
joking.
individuals.
Understood.
And then the third thing we do are surveys. So many times people will see that we'll put out surveys or forums where we do kind of an online question.
Okay.
So that's how we learn about our clients, or learn about the target audiences or the priority populations. We also do secret shopping. We do a lot of secret shopping.
Wow.
We do secret shopping for the federal government. We just did a project for the state of Ohio. We do secret shopping for the city of Cincinnati. We have done secret shopping for a variety of government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and businesses.
Now, what does that look like? What does that look like to do secret shopping for the government? I would have never thought this. How does that work out?
Well, so secret shopping is essentially emulating the experiences of a client. So many times a government agency will look for deceptive marketing practices. So, for example, you say the light in the battery is going to last for 10 hours and it only lasts for 5.
Okay.
So it's deceptive.
Gotcha.
You think you're getting something different, and so they will contract with companies like ours, and NYPD did as well. Contract with companies like ours to do deceptive marketing practices.
Gotcha.
So that's one way. Something else they do are compliance checks. So are you selling cigarettes to persons under the age of 18? Are you selling tobacco to persons under the age of 21? So it's a compliance check. You still emulate an experience of a customer, but it's not necessarily for customer service and customer satisfaction.
Gotcha.
It's more of a compliance. Are you following the laws and the policies around what you're selling?
Well, now how did you get into that? Because that's a You just think, for me, now I went into marketing, but it was more of a sociological perspective of it. How did you get into this particular scope of marketing?
Well, so research has kind of always been my thing.
Okay.
And, giving the customer what they want or need has always been my thing. So prior to starting my business, I ran customer service departments for 3 Fortune 500 companies. And so my job was always to improve the experience of the customer. So in order to improve the experience of the customer, you have to emulate those experiences.
Gotcha.
You have to call your own numbers. You have to visit your own locations. You have to really go through the process to make sure that it meets the needs of your clients, it's in compliance with your organization, but it also provides the best experience for your customer. So when we started doing that, that just became the natural extension of our business after the research was to do the secret shopping. And so many times when we do a research project and a population will talk about their experiences, then we will go in and test them for ourselves.
Wow,
And
she's
see
smart,
what
y'all.
people-
She's smart.
Yes. And so it kind of grew from there. So first we started with research, and then we did the secret shopping part. And then after we told people what to do and how to reach their audiences, because we work extensively with niche audiences and hard to reach audiences and diverse audiences and African American audiences, and people just really didn't know how to reach those populations.
Wow.
So that's when we started with outreach campaigns. We were one of the first organizations in the region to do outreach. A lot of businesses still do advertising, media buys, public relations, but there's a big difference between public relations and advertising versus outreach. Wow. Outreach means you go out in the community and you actually engage with the audience from a variety of different ways. It is not something I can manage from a spreadsheet.
Right.
It's something that you have to have feet on the street.
Right.
You have to be able to engage with the population.
You become intimate. You actually get to be with those individuals to really hear, and it's a touch and feel type of situation.
And it's a trust factor.
Wow.
And we have been so blessed over the past 12 years to gain a lot of respect and trust from the populations we serve. And so we can call them to do research with us. We can ask them to assist us with secret shopping. And then we also do the outreach campaigns.
Gotcha.
And so that's really our business model. We've been in business for 12 years.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah,
Yay, 12!
12 years. We are. We moved into our own office building. So, God's blessings just continue to be bigger than our dreams.
Wow.
And it's through great people like you and the great people of Cincinnati. We have tremendous clients who trust us and give us the latitude to do the things that help us to reach their goals.
Right.
Because traditional methods today just don't reach clients the way they did in the past.
Is it because of the, I would say, technology is changing that, or the mindsets of the people, or why are you saying that it's changing in that?
Well, there was a time when everyone watched, 4 basic television channels, right? And advertising was there, and newscasters were there, and everything was on television and or radio, and that's kind of how you got information, maybe a few billboards, etc. Now our minds are diverted through mobile devices, through technology, through streaming services, through, and many of us pay to get out of advertising, right? So you can have a paid streaming service where you don't see commercials. You can have a paid, a stick that you put into your television where you don't see commercials. You can have DVRs where you fast forward and you don't see commercials, or so there's a lot of ways that traditional advertising has struggled.
Gotcha.
And so it's not just so simple to send things out, or even email now. Younger people aren't really interested in email.
Right.
They want a text message, they want a WhatsApp,
Right.
they want a Facebook Messenger. So how people receive information is very different, and we are far more dependent on word of mouth, which includes social media. And as the algorithms change in social media, it makes it harder and harder and harder to pay to get into someone's view.
Gotcha.
So you have to do outreach, you have to do trust, you have to do one-on-one engagement, you have to build your followers. We're going now to more influencer marketing, and
that's a big thing that's coming up now.
Yes.
The influencer marketing.
Influencer marketing is a very big deal, where you pay small, what they call micro-influencers, people less than 100,000 followers, to share your message. And when you do that, you get your word out.
Gotcha.
So it's a very, it's a different way of doing things. We've gone away from a lot of the talk shows that used to be on radio and television where you could share your message there. We've gone away from that. You know, we now have national syndicated music streaming services like iHeart and Sirius, where you know it's music from all over the country. It's not so local, and there's usually not having local businesses or organizations share their message the way we had in the past.
Wow.
So things are definitely changing. We just have to approach it a little differently. But our customers have given us the latitude, and they trust us enough to know that our non-traditional methods of reaching clients work, and they help us. They allow us to do that, and that's what's made us so successful.
And I will say that one of the key factors that you or characteristics that you always speak of is about trust. Yes. Trust is that is like my only thing that I say for individuals. If I trust you, that means I put all of my care into you, and I believe that you will deliver whatever it is. You know, I'm letting my dollars go to you because I believe that you are going to be diligent in that work. Yes. Speaking of,
yes,
something that we both love is the voice of Black Cincinnati. Let me tell you, talk about why that was created. We understand the voice of the customer, that is important, but we, you know, here with Kickin and with KiKi, it's imperative that we support African Americans in the city of Cincinnati, or give them events, or give them social outlets of how to come together and build generational wealth. And this is the reason, one of the reasons why I love this sister, because that's what she did. Because she's helped me with Indigo Soul, put that on the map, and things that, you know, eclectic culture. So let's talk about the voice of Black Cincinnati.
Yes.
What made you come up with this idea?
So a couple things. One is, as a company who was trying to do outreach to African Americans, it was very difficult for us to get our message in traditional media. It either wasn't important enough, it wasn't highlighted enough, whatever the case may be. We were having a really hard time getting the message to our constituents through traditional media.
Gotcha.
So we kind of started emailing people, just sharing the message and telling people via email. Then I'm very actively involved in the local arts community. There were tremendous arts of African American interest that were happening, and again, a hard time trying to get those messages to the target audience. So I kind of started with like 4,000 people. It started with probably, you know, my sorority sisters and my late sisters and, you know, some friends I knew, and then people just started asking to be added to the distribution list, and so I probably ended up with about 4,000 people who were saying,
awesome.
Email me and tell me about things that are happening. So I said, okay, that's one thing. And then, you know, sometimes traditional media, at the time, you know, it was hard for African Americans to be featured in traditional media. If it wasn't sports or crime, we weren't there. Things have changed a little bit now, but for a long time, it was the norm. So we were having a hard time reaching our audience, so we created that. The second thing was, people were constantly calling our office asking for a list of Black-owned businesses. You could see through Google that was a high search request, and it just wasn't there. So we added the database of Black-owned businesses. And then the last thing we learned was that professional African Americans were not, it was difficult for us to recruit, our community to recruit and retain diverse African American or African American professionals to come to our area. And so they were coming to town, they were finding it hard to connect with people, they couldn't find the services that they needed, and so after 18 or 24 months, they would usually stay with the company but relocate to another city. So I said, we've got to do something to bring this together. And so we created the Voice of Black Cincinnati. It launched on Valentine's Day 2016.
Oh, the love for Black people.
Yes, the love for Black people. And the mission of the Voice of Black Cincinnati is to educate, recognize, and create opportunities for African Americans in the region. So we have a user-generated community calendar. We have a user-generated database of Black-owned businesses. We have a list of scholarships available to people of color for academic enrichment. And then we also have a jobs board where people can find jobs that may not, you know, traditionally be available to them. And so we created that, and we have these articles, and it has grown much larger than I ever imagined. We're more than 2 million page views in. People are calling us, and you know, KiKi, the greatest blessing is, I assure you, every time I walk out of the door, someone says to me, thank you. I got a job from your website. I got a scholarship from your website. I found my hairdresser or whatever services I need from a Black-owned business from your website. You know, because my business was on your website, I have received calls and emails and contacts. So people are just benefiting from the information we share, and that means the world to me.
Well, see, that's when God uses you.
Yes,
Hallelujah! Come on and worship in this place. Jesus, yes. I love to hear this story, but you know, now I'm about to get really ignorant right now because she was in her professional. So I'm about to get really. You got a boo?
No.
Okay, y'all, I'm trying to get her chosen because let me tell you, the girl is on fire. Let me tell you, she is a Black girl that rocks. Like I said, she has a spirit like you've never seen before. I know I called her about a situation and she just poured into me as a big sister. She poured into me as a professional. And you don't have that in our society I shouldn't say we don't have it. You don't have that person that would just grab you and be like, hey, you ain't doing what you're supposed to, or you know what, I don't like it, So I personally thank you for just pouring into me all the knowledge and things of that. So what do you like to do?
So most people know that I am an arts lover. Okay. So I spend a lot of time in the arts district. I enjoy nearly all of our arts. We have a tremendous arts community here in Cincinnati.
Our arts. Now, one thing about Cincinnati, I think we have a good arts program, and I'm talking about bringing the culturally arts, and I'm not saying entertainment like when I say hip hop and things that I'm not saying that. I'm talking about culturally, like a violin, the Black violins were here. I'm talking about opera, things that I think we have bomb diggity.
We definitely, as a city, box above our weight when it comes to the arts, and I feel like our arts organizations over the past 5 to 10 years have really grown. All of them have grown to have more inclusive and diverse arts experiences at a very professional level. That's the gift. It's not just people performing. These are classically and professionally trained artists who are sharing stories of diverse populations through their art form. And we are very, very blessed. Our arts are diverse, they are accessible, and they are enjoyable.
And they're affordable too. I will say that they're affordable. They're not astronomical. Except one of them was a little bit astronomical. I was like, I can't go on the pole this week.
But another thing people don't realize is that most of the arts organizations have ways for you to see their performances or productions or exhibits in a lower cost. So pretty much all of our museums locally are free or have free days or discount days or options, etc. Many organizations have special same-day pricing, 2 hours before you go pricing.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Pay what you can days. Open dress rehearsals, final dress rehearsals. Each organization has their own thing. They have military discounts. Many people who have SNAP cards. If you have a food stamp card.
The Cincinnati Zoo.
Yeah, the zoo and the museums and several other organizations. So if you follow the Voice of Black Cincinnati, we will tell you about those discounts when we share the different events at each one of those venues.
Please tell them what your your website address.
So the website is www.thevoiceofblackcincinnati.com. Again, that's www.thevoiceofblackcincinnati.com.
So what's next for you, Krystal?
I'm
sorry, let me change that. What's next for the I can't even get it out. Divalicious Krystal Kendrick, what's next for you?
Well, so here in Cincinnati, we're growing our business, so we will be hiring more people, and that is a gift.
Awesome.
We are also, expanding the website into something bigger. What comes from the website is a lot of search engine information. So the way our website is designed and the people who design our website, we receive reports every day telling us what people want and need, how they're searching. They send us information through through our contact forms. So we have a lot of information, and with more resources, we'll be able to provide more information to our clients via the Voice of Black Cincinnati. And the second thing is the Voice of Black Cincinnati is really not 100% African American anymore from our viewership. So, we have people who come to us and say, I don't care what you call this thing, this is good information, and a lot of people need it. So, we share all kinds of information. It's very actionable information.
Awesome.
So we don't tell a lot of stories, right? People, stories feel good, and that's great. There are a lot of people telling stories, but we actually give information. These are the jobs that are hiring. These are the companies, the government agencies that are hiring. These are the scholarships for which you can apply. These are the events that are coming to town. And so that's very helpful to people. And we will continue with that model of providing good information that's helpful. But we will grow that model. So like you, our team is going into, forgive me for all the words, I have an amazing team. But there's podcasts, I think, and live shoots, and they want a mobile app, and they want a multitude of different things.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for you. I've watched you just blossom and just pop, and I've always been studying you. Yep, I've been a stalker.
Well, we are sorority.
We are sorority sisters,
so,
but still, when you watch someone that you admire, you just sit there and watch everything that they do. And it's not necessarily that you're copying, it's because that you see greatness. Goes back to the word. You trust what they produce. And therefore you want to be able to emulate that, because we all service a different audience because of our personalities, because of who we may serve. So, but if I have just a little corner of Krystal Kendrick, man, I'm gonna be a superstar.
No,
Yay.
It's not that. I've had a lot of people who have helped me, and you see potential in people. And so when you see potential in people and you see energy in people, as I see in you, then you give of yourself and your time, because you know it is of value, and you know that you are coming up behind us. There's no need for us to blaze our path if we don't have somebody who's ready to take the steps after us and make it bigger. And the trust thing is very, very important, and that's something I was talking to someone earlier today. They asked us about the Voice of Black Cincinnati, and they said, what's so shocking? And I said, it's the trust that our community has in the information we provide. I take that very seriously, and I ensure that everything we publish is accurate as of the date of publication. People will notice that we also update our articles very regularly, so that past information goes away and future information comes on. And if we learn that something has changed, then we will correct that problem. But the trust that our community has in our ability to share information, to help them, and the information they share with us that we need for our research to do better is a tremendous opportunity for us. It is a responsibility that we don't take lightly, and I know you don't either, because people trust what we say. And so as long as people continue to trust us, we're going to continue to produce information that's helpful to them.
I so love Krystal. Krystal. So before we leave, what is one little nugget that you would say that will transcend to our young people that are trying to be in marketing or research, or just even trying to do better in the Black community? What is that one little nugget, or what do you live by to help them be better individuals?
Well,
I know that was a lot.
No. There's two things that I think of. So the first thing I think of is the value that my family placed on education. And my grandmother always said, no one can take your education from you. No one. No, except mind diseases that we have now. But no one can take your education from you. And so I always encourage people to continue your education. You should add something to your resume every year. If you are not, then you might as well fall behind. Right? And so whether it's, and everyone does not need to earn a PhD, but you have to show that you can continue to learn. So whether that's a hobby through, learning through a hobby, or learning through sport, or learning through reading, or learning through education or school, you have to continue to educate yourself. And that's really important to me. So I spend a lot of time reading ProPublica. I spend a lot of time reading PBS and NPR, and that's where I get my investigative, nonpartisan information, and that's what I really like. But learning is important, and I always tell people, you never want to be the least educated person in the room. Now, you might be the least experienced. You might, be the least aware of a current situation, but we're not going to be the least educated person in the room. And if you are continually the least educated person in the room, that's a challenge. So be sure that you are learning and that you surround yourself with people who can sharpen your steel.
I know that's right.
Right? So you have to have connections in all different places. If you are always the smartest person in the room, you are not growing.
Wow.
And so I think you always need to ensure that the people around you are learning and teaching. And if you are talking more than you are listening, you're probably in the wrong circles at some point. You need to broaden your circles.
Wow.
So that's one thing. I always think about learning and education. And the other thing that a dear friend of mine, Carl Satterwhite, taught me 12 years ago when I started my business, he said, give to get to give. So if you give to people, God gives you the opportunity to give again.
You just preach your first service.
I believe that. I believe that, and I do give. I give quite sacrificially, my accountant says. But I do live, and I give of my time and my talent and my treasure, because I believe that when you give, it comes back to you, in multiple fold.
Right.
And so I do give. I give quite a bit, and it does come back to me. And
well, that's what the word says.
That's what the word says.
That's what the word says.
I believe that. Opportunities present themselves for me that I never imagined. I never imagined I would have a business. I never imagined I would have staff. I never imagined I would have a website that people actually follow and listen and sign up for and receive text messages. And I just never believed. I never believed we would own our office building. I never believed. Just things are just beyond your belief. Right. Your imagination just come true. So just give to get to give. You don't always. I'm not suggesting in any way that you allow anyone to take advantage of you.
Right.
That's not my my message. My message is you give, and then when you give, things will come back to you.
Right.
I've had people. I'll call people and say, "Can you help me with something?" And they'll say, "Okay." They never ask me how much I'm going to pay or if I'm going to pay. I just asked you to help me with something, and they said yes. And then when I pay them, they're just flabbergasted that has happened. I said, you know what? You got that because you didn't ask for it.
Wow.
You got that because you gave, and when you gave, you get more.
I know that's right.
And so, two things. Continue learning. Education, in formal and informal. You must keep your mind learning. Never be the least educated person in the room. Do your homework. Do your research, and also give to get to give. When you give, it will come back to you. I promise.
Wow, let me just tell you, that was more than a nugget. That was soul food of your grandma's house. I just ate a whole meal. That was a blessing. Well, first of all, like I said, thank you for taking the time to just speak to me and my love bugs.
Yeah,
I really appreciate all of my love bugs. I love, one of the things about when I always say much love is because that's all I have to give is my love for you, because God gives me the love for me, and I'm an imperfect person. So I love you, my sister.
Yes,
this goes beyond sorority stuff. I love you because God loves me, and He chose me to be here with Krystal Kendrick, the voice of the customer. I appreciate you, sister.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you. To the team, you guys are awesome, sus. I appreciate it.
I need these guys, this crew on the team. I'm
trying to tell you, you gotta wait till they're done with me first.
I know, I'm not going to interrupt, but they're going to be busy. I can assure you that. It is always great to find young, innovative, energetic, passionate, and dedicated African American talent.
I know.
Especially in the creative world.
And they're young.
Yes.
That's the thing. You guys are gonna meet them a little later, but those are my love. These are my love ones right here.
You're very lucky, and it just shows that our community has promise, that our occupation has promise, and that the more diversity we get in marketing / outreach / broadcasting and just the whole outreach motion means that we will have less of a chance of having more incidents of culturally insensitive communication and advertising.
That's true.
Yep, they are amazingly talented. We just have to get them in the room with the right person.
That's the whole thing. We got that's a whole nother.
Because relatability is credibility. But our time is up. We'll talk about that next time.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna tune in. Well, once again, thank you, Ms. Kendrick, for just being here with us. So thank you for watching Kicking It with KiKi. 2 fingers, 1 love. I'm always out in the city of Cincinnati and beyond.